kwezonu. Yeah. Oko nyamini, nyamini. Koko nyamiri, nyamiri. Koko nyamiri, nyamiri. Koko nyamiri, nyamiri. Ibole, ibole. Igbo bunu ndamamihe. Ibole, ibole. Igbo bunu ndamamihe. Ebulanyelu, 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 ebulanyelu. Anamabara na ihe dị njọ ma na-emezi konye ofeke. Anamabara nụ n'ihe dị njọ ma na-emezi konye ofeke. Igbo bụ ndị ike, ụmụ Igbo bụ ndị ike. Igbo bụ ndị ike, ụmụ Igbo bụ ndị ike. Koko nyamini, nyamini. Koko nyamini, nyamini. Koko nyamini, nyamini. Koko nyamini, nyamini. Hey, cha 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 cha. Igbo kwezonu. Yeah. Igbo kwezonu. Yeah. Ihe ji mara ndị emihe bụ ọrụ aka ha. Ihe ji mara ndị emihe bụ ihe aka ha. Ihe ji mara ndị emihe bụ ọrụ aka ha. Ụmụ Igbo ndị anyị nwere omenala dowe n'azụ, were omenala ndị ọzọ bulie elu. Ndị anyị nwere omenala Igbo dowe n'azụ, were omenala ndị ọzọ bulie elu. Ihe anyị na-eme Chineke na ọ dịrọzi mma. Ihe anyị na-eme Chineke ọ dịrọ mma. Ihe anyị na-eme Chineke na ọ dịrọzi mma. Ndewo, ndewo, ndewo. Good morning to everyone. Mamano, mamano, goodness to all. Welcome to another episode of Chism Live. For those of you who are just joining us for the first time, this is our place for discussion about information relative to the Chiism or Godian religion and general information of interest to the general society. Today is a continuation of our lecture series or discussion series. And before I introduce our guests, I would like to start by offering a request, asking the highest order of beings, the spirit Chineke, to intervene on our behalf today. Let me remind you again that today is, we're still in the month of Agunsi. Before I say this prayer, I'm going to take this into consideration. My husband, Chifike Nosimere, is not feeling very well. He's in the hospital right now, but we know that Chineke is working for and through him. So we know that he's going to be just fine. So for all of you who know him or don't know him, please keep him in your prayer. Keep him in your prayer. So we are going to get started. And I ask all of you, wherever you are, to just open your hands. You see, when you open your hands to receive the blessings of Chineke, you know, more of it comes in. If your hands are closed or you have it on your side, and, you know, Chineke will be looking for, okay, where do I get this blessings into this person? So open your hands and receive. Be prepared to receive. Chineke. Okekerowa. Onye pụrụ ime ihe niile. We have a lot that's important to us that we wish to ask for your help today. Although we are often so afraid to ask you for what we want, we admit that today we sincerely need your intervention in our lives for whatever the reasons are. Maybe the experiences that we've had in the past has been denied us so many times as children that we feel that Pain carries over into everything we do. So that even in the middle of happiness, we see nothing but pain. We still feel pain. We may not ask for what we want, but those reasons why we don't ask, for whatever reasons we're not asking you, we haven't asked you in the past, today we are asking. We're asking right now, at this moment, to be healed of this constant addiction of restrain and refrain. Today, we wish to let you know that we are prepared to receive all the good. All the good you want to give us today, Chineke, we are prepared. We know that you know what's available to us, even if we don't know, even if we don't ask for it. But today, we are sure that your stockpile of good for us is even more than we can imagine. So today we are asking you, let your abundance flow into us. Shower us with all that you feel that we should have, and we promise not to oppose or get in the way of our good, get in the way of your will. We want your blessings today, right now. All the goodness at your fingertips, we promise to get out of the way so that it will all land at our feet as you proclaim. We don't know how much we can have. You know how much we can have and how much we can handle. Help us to manage it when we get it. But give us all that you can. Give us the wherewithal, the mind, the consciousness to be willing to receive. Help us to choose to close our mouths when we have anything to say, and let nothing but goodness pour out of them. Open our consciousness with knowledge in your hearts, in our hearts. In our hearts, pour nothing but goodness. Move all doubt out of our minds and pull in all the good that we can stand. Despite our disorganized lives, please bring some order so that we are better prepared for all the abundance that you will give to us in your very most imaginative and divine way. So, n'ụbọchị taa Chineke, go ahead, make our day. I na-arịọ gị ụbọchị taa, no hesitation. We are going to back out of the way. We're asking you to do it. Go ahead on and bless us. You know what to do. You know how to do it. You know what we need before we even realize it or even ask for it. So give us today. Give it all to us today. We're telling you today that it's okay to bless us. Let us have it all. Make our day. Throw your goodness at us. I already know we're going to get everything that we ask for. And we're thanking you in advance. Even if we don't see it at the moment, we know the moment that you have given the blessing, we just step back and wait and receive it. We are prepared, ready, and willing to accept all the blessings you can bestow upon us. And so it is, and so it is. It is my pleasure to welcome our host, none other, to start with. Dibia Ochwaja.
Okay, madam. Otito niile dịrị Chineke. Ka ụzọ anyị niile bụrụ
ise.
Ihe ọbụla metụrụ aka atọ, ọ bụrụkwa ahụ mma mma.
Ise.
Ka ụwa niile si n'ozi ọma anyị na-ewetara ha nweta obi aṅụrị site ugbu a ruo mgbe niile ebighị ebi.
Ise o, ise.
May every way of our lives be light. May all our acts be crowned with good. And may the world prosper through the ministry of Global Faith Ministry of Chiism and Godianism, now and forevermore.
And so it is.
Okay.
Yagazie.
Yes.
Yagazie. Thank you.
I'm ready to receive my blessing, so let's go.
Yeah. Now I want to add to the stream. Dibia Chie Dozie. There's a cow.
Yeah.
Yes. And then I want to bring in Dr. Simona Monet.
Hello, doctor. How you doing?
Well, how are you today?
Yeah.
How you doing today? Your mic is not on. Your mic is not on. Your mic is not on.
We still can't hear. We still can't hear.
Okay.
Now you go.
I'm doing excellent. You know, to live another day, to take another breath, I can't complain.
Yes. I say, you know what? We are so blessed. We just don't recognize the blessing because we're looking for financial blessing. See, if you have breath, if you can inhale and exhale, that means you are so blessed. There are billionaires who died yesterday, y'all.
Yeah.
And here you are. They would trade places with us at any moment if we could give up our lives. You know, so I am yes, we're all blessed. Today is exciting because we're going to continue our discussion. And last week we announced that we have a special guest. I'm so excited. That is Dr. Obie Onyioha Pearce. She is here with us today. Can we give her a round of applause? It's going to be exciting. So we are going to get started and welcome her in. And it's going to be a wonderful discussion. Dr. Pearce. How are you? Welcome. Good to have you.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
We can hear you. We can hear you.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're so excited to have you.
We're so excited to have you.
Your prayer.
Yeah. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, I just want to add, this is the first daughter of 𝓛𝓮𝓻𝓮𝓼 Onyioha, the first child of our family. We are so honored, and she's always so busy. So we are so honored that she's here with us. I know how welcome. So wonderful to have you here. You know, we are ready. We are ready for you. We're ready for your lecture. And so take it and run with it.
Right. From the prayer you did, I now have a middle name for God, and that's Clint Eastwood. Go ahead and make my day.
Yeah, make my day. That's right.
That's his middle name now, you know. So anyway, so we're here today. Thank you everybody for welcoming me so graciously. And what I'm thinking, what this is about is really more of a discussion than a lecture. Because if I was doing a lecture, it would be a lot of papers and dates and things like that. But this is really just more of a discussion of what my thoughts are on certain things, on certain issues, you know. And so, but before I start, there's something I'd like to go through with you, you know, and I want you to keep that in mind as before I start. And that's this, is to control a people, you must first control what they think about themselves and how they regard their history and culture. But when your conqueror makes you ashamed of your culture and your history, he needs no prison walls or chains to hold you. That was a saying by John Henry Clark. And that leads into then what I want to talk about, and which is the appropriation of historical figures. Just give me a minute here. Let me just position myself. That's the appropriation of historical figures. I'm not talking about the mundane appropriations of things I regard as frivolous, as hairstyles or earrings or whatever. You know, I'm talking about the appropriation of historical figures. You know, that we are so much fighting over. You know, we're so much fighting over. We're so much talking about. We're so much saying, oh, this person belongs to us, that person belongs to this ethnic group or that race, you know. And like I was saying, because one of the things that Dr. Clark said, you know, from what he said, you know, one of the symptoms of all this thing that, could you put that saying back? There's a line I want from there. Could you put, you know, all this about when you want to control a people, you know, you control them by making them ashamed of their culture and history. And that's exactly what leads to this discussion about the appropriation, because we feel that we are not worthy. So we have to go look for other cultures, the history of other people, appropriate whatever the historical figures are. You know, so that's why everyone is, I keep asking myself, why is everyone obsessed with Egypt? You know, claiming all sorts of kingship to the exclusion of all else. You know, so why don't we ever claim kinship with the Luo of Kikuyu of Kenya, or the Igbos of Nigeria, or the Yorubas or Hausas? You know, why is everyone rushing to Egypt? You know, claiming all sorts of kinship with them, you know, and then because of all the claiming of all the kinship with Egypt and the northern part of Africa, we forget about our own. We forget about all that we have. You know, the abundance of legacies that we have south of the Sahara. You know. So today, I'm not really going, I'm just limiting myself to a few female historical figures. You know, if I take the whole spectrum of what, you know, both the female and male, it would take the whole day, you know. And don't get me wrong, you know, because I hear some people probably going to say, oh, how about, I'm saying we shouldn't appropriate things and all that. I'm not talking about everything. I'm just talking about historical figures, you know. And I'm saying we should appropriate things that belong to us, things we don't have to prove to anybody. You understand? And in any case, the whole of mankind, as you all know, all came from Africa. You know, after all, scientific studies show that the human genetics, you know, with the mitochondrial Eve is the matrilineal, most recent common ancestor of all living human beings, of all living humans. In other words, she's defined, listen to this, as the most recent woman from whom all living humans descend in an unbroken line, purely through their mothers and through the mothers of those mothers back until they converge to one woman. And the male analog to her is what's called the Y chromosomal Adam. So that was a tongue twister there. The individual from all living humans are patrilineally descended. Okay, so that was our genetic makeup structure as we all humans dispersed from Africa. So the reason I mention this is that I'm not trying to say that we don't belong to the rest of the world, that we should just concentrate on the southern part of Africa, you know, and not the northern part. I'm just saying that we have things and people, historical figures that we should be just as proud, even more proud, as we go along, as we tell our story and our history, you know. But given that the world is so fractured based on racial and ethnic arrogations, maybe it's time, like I said, for us to look to our own, because we have a lot to be proud of, legacies in abundance, you know. But the spotlight, as we know, you know, has been on societies that other races, and especially the white historians in particular, you know, have caused the whole world to focus on the civilizations and of other people, to the point that the light shone on these places have blinded us to our own greatness. You know, we play along with their narratives and forget ours. We get drawn into this tug of war with historical figures. They are ours, no, they're not. They're this, they're that, they're black, they're white. So we project our 20th and 21st century sensibilities and interpretations to ancient history. We're so caught up in this fight, we forget the greater accomplishments that we can flaunt and crow about. You know, we have so much to crow about. We have so much to think about, to know about our people, you know. So I just want to put it out there. So this is my intro to this, you know, and so that in playing along with the narratives of this other people's narratives of the world order and war of complexes, superior and inferior, we've been tricked into focusing on a battle with some foundations, really. We're so bereft, we got to the point where we're so bereft of pride that we cling, no matter how tenuously, to any crumbs that even a sniff or modicum of Black achievement. It's like it's our last stand, you know. Well, you're not going to take this from me. So we struggle, we say, oh, we fight till death, you know, to stick to this other people's narrative, you know. So it brings me to the appropriation debate on the historical, or discussion on the historical figures, you know. So let's start, for instance, with all the talk about Cleopatra. I know how we cling on to this. You know, I have seen so many in Afrocentric circles, you know, people going on about, oh, Cleopatra, she's black. Well, I got news for you guys, you know, she's not black. She was the queen of a black country, but she's not black. She's from Greece. She's a member of the Ptolemaic dynasty. She was a descendant of its founder, Ptolemy I, a Macedonian Greek general and companion of Alexander the Great. And when Alexander conquered Egypt, he brought with him his generals who settled there, and he asked them, look after this province for us. You know, so nowhere genetically is she black. That has been proven anyway. She's no more black than Lord Lugard was black for being the Governor General of Nigeria, you know, during the colonial days, nor if his descendants had stayed on and never married any Nigerians, you know. So like, we can accept her as one of us insofar as she ruled in the kingdom that is African and had in the past had black pharaohs. In that sense, she becomes one of us, not scientifically a genetic relation, but a social and cultural, but from a social and cultural perspective. So, and of course, that's, I know a lot of people, you know, get upset when they see maybe her being depicted as by Elizabeth Taylor, and they say, oh no, Elizabeth Taylor shouldn't, she's white. Actually, she looked more like Elizabeth Taylor than you and I, you know. So that's why I know there will be some outcry there and going, why did she say that? But actually that's the truth. But it doesn't make the fact that she is not racially African doesn't mean that we don't accept her. We do accept her as being one of our queens in Africa, so we accept that, and the other thing too, if you really look at her history, when we all get so excited about having her as a role model for us, when you really look at her history, you compare it to the history of the other African queens, she really didn't achieve that much. In fact, if she hadn't been for the fact, as far as I'm concerned, a lot of people can probably think something else, but as far as I'm concerned, if she hadn't been for the fact that she was the lover of the great Julius Caesar, you understand, and the Julius Caesar came there was nothing really of her own achievements that we can show to this day. I do take the point that she was an intelligent woman, very intelligent, and in fact, she was the only one who actually of her people who actually bothered to learn the Egyptian language, So as far as I'm concerned, she was great only in the sense, as far as historically, in the sense that she was Julius Caesar and Mark Antony's lover and had some children for them, and then was roped into the Roman conquest and Roman history, but her achieving something on her own, not as much as her sisters south of the Sahara did, but then she was really clever, because she was able to maintain the status quo in Egypt and able to get the two Roman generals to fight on her behalf. So that was clever, without her actually leading anybody to war, So then from there, can we go to Queen Sheba, please, the Queen of Sheba? Okay, the Queen of Sheba now, this is a tough one. She was first mentioned in the Bible, bringing caravan of valuable gifts to King Solomon. This account has undergone extensive Jewish, Islamic, and Ethiopian elaborations. Even the Yorubas of Nigeria in on the act. The Yoruba Ijebu clan, claimed that she was a wealthy, childless noblewoman of theirs, known as Oloye Songbo. They also said that a medieval system of walls and ditches known as the 𝓟𝓵𝓪𝓲𝓽, and built sometime around the 10th century, was dedicated to her. They believe that, And in fact, after there was an excavation by some archaeologist called Patrick Darling, who said that he didn't want to overplay the Sheba theory, but it cannot be discounted. So if the local people believe it, so be it. So everybody's claiming her. She has become the subject of one of the most widespread and fertile cycles of legends in the Middle East. She has appeared in myths and legends for different cultures. In some literatures, she's even been depicted as the Virgin Mary. So in fact, some historians actually claim that she's just a legendary figure that didn't really exist. And some people say she comes from the southern Arabian kingdom of Saba in present-day Yemen, and some parts of Ethiopia, and because my own personal take on it, because Yemen and was at a crossroads of cultures and trade in the past centuries, is quite possible she's a mix of various races, So I'm not quite taken by that fact of her being an African queen. You know, I'm not just, nothing there has really sold me on that except just myths and fables and legends, you know. So again, when we cling on to so much to her, you know, again, what exactly did she really achieve? You know, except that, you know, she took some presents to some gifts to Solomon, and then asked him some questions which he answered, questions which even with translation I still don't understand what the question was about, you know, but he understood it and gave her an answer that pleased. And then she went back and had a baby, which the Ethiopians claim that is they're descended from, you know. Now, I'm not really convinced about that. And all these things, all myths and legends, you know, none that I'm really convinced about. You know, like I'm saying, these are all my own personal opinions, you know, and I haven't read anything or researched anything that's convinced me otherwise. You know, now, if you're going down to the south of the Sahara, where we have the queens there that we cannot argue about who they are. Do they have a little drop here? Do they have this here? Do they have that? Are they Egyptian? Are they what? No, these are black queens. We can really say these are black queens. They are black, and they are, and they are people we can be proud of, you know, because, and not just the fact that they existed, they actually left tangible legacies that you can still see to this day, you know. So we'll start with Kandake queens. Kandake queens, Kandake was the royal title for queens and queen mothers of the ancient African kingdom of Kush, which was an ancient Nubian state centered in the the confluences of the Blue Nile and the White Nile and the river Atabra in what is now Sudan. Okay. These Kandakes were also known as the Nubian warrior queens. There were warrior queens, there were queen regents and ruling queen mothers. You know, I mean, they were so powerful. You know, they controlled what they were so powerful. You know, they controlled what now Ethiopia, Sudan, and lower part of Egypt, or upper part of Egypt, depending on how you look at the map. Because in the map, the lower Egypt is actually on top, and the upper Egypt is below. You know, so some of the queens ruled in their own right, others ruled with their husbands. But these queens were not merely consorts. They usually had equal power with the king, and sometimes more. You know, the Kandakes, they had absolute authority. They ruled and were tasked. They were tasked with creating their sons, making their sons and preparing their sons to be rulers. You know, they farmed. The Kandakes, they farmed. They traded with Greeks and built pyramids, some of which you can see today. You know, so this brings us to some of the famous ones, you know, which is this one here, you know, the Nubian queen Shanadahete, you know. She ruled in the kingdom of Kush in the ancient, she ruled the kingdom of Kush in ancient Nubia from 177 BC to 155 BC, you know. Her name is engraved as a royal queen in the Egyptian hieroglyphics. So, I mean, they knew her even there, you know. They found the inscriptions about her, you know. Her pyramid is one of the largest pyramids built by the kings of Kush. Her pyramid is one of the largest. You know, the pyramid, her pyramid featured a unique chapel that contained 2 rooms and 2 columns. You know, that's a pyramid over here. Oh, it's a bit covered. Pyramid is over. She had all this built, but her particular pyramid is to the right there. I think that is a bit covered, you know, and she had in the pyramid were landscapes in the chapel depicting her military campaigns, you know, and on that relief, her military campaigns, it showed large numbers of livestock and prisoners, you know, and they sorry, I'm not seeing that very well. You know, the Queen's landscapes appear in the form of huge obese women. It's on the relief there. I think that went off, you know, and they showed her in a form as a huge woman, a huge obese woman. But at that time, that was what was aesthetically pleasing, you know. But it was not just it wasn't because they weren't trying to show that being big was pleasing, but rather it was an expression of wealth and power, you know. So shall we go to the next okay, now this woman, this is a powerhouse. She's Queen Amanirenas, you know, and she was one of the great Nubian queens that ruled the area. Her husband was King Trikas, and she was his successor to the throne. You know, she was one of the more famous ones. You know, the term Great Queen was attributed to the meaning of the royal title 𝓛𝓮𝓻𝓮 because of her role in leading Kushite armies against the Romans in a 5-year-long war between 27 BC and 22 BC, you know. And previous to what started this was previously, you know, her kingdom had been trading their gold and other riches with Egypt, but the political landscape changed when the Romans came and seized control, you know, under Augustus Caesar, you know, and Mark Antony, Augustus Caesar during the time of Mark Antony and Cleopatra. So on assuming leadership of the kingdom, she planned and then carried out attacks on the occupying Roman forces, you know, and she fought them for 5 years, you know. Now, none of the other queens was able to fight on their own, you know. None of the other queens fought these encroaching armies on their own, you know. But this woman actually led her armies and fought the great Roman Empire to a standstill, you know. And not just that, she had the head of Octavian, you know, Octavian, brought it down to her place, and she brought it to her place. I think did I have that over there? Sorry, no, I know. And she took the his head, his statue, the head on his statue, and brought it back with her, you know. And that's how great a woman she was. Something that was never heard of. Nobody ever fought the Romans, and not just they fought the Romans. She, as a woman, she actually fought the Romans. And then we come. The other one is not here, but I'll just talk about her. Her name is Amani Shaketo. She lived in 10 BC to 1 BC. She was extremely wealthy, powerful, and a great queen, and she's assumed to be either the daughter of Mane Renas or the sister, but she was powerful and wealthy, and there's several monuments of her, and she's mentioned in the Amun temple, the Egyptian temple. She built considerable pyramids and temples at a place called Wad Naka, where she resided and where she was buried with great treasures, and in fact, in her tomb, in her pyramid, some of the things that these are people who raid graves and tombs. Some guy, an Italian called Fellini, he raided her graves, and some of the things that he discovered there are golden artifacts like amulets and necklaces and some jewelry. Is now divided between the Egyptian museum, the museum in Egypt, and Berlin, and that's how powerful this woman was. She fought, her neighbors and everything. And she led her army against her enemies in north and south. Then there was Amanitori. She was a co-regent with Nata Kamani. And she too, was a great queen, and she led armies. And she created outstanding buildings, and her royal palace is in the modern day Sudan, and it's now a UNESCO World Heritage Site, So these are women who actually fought, led armies. So they were not like sitting back looking pretty or putting on just their makeup and wigs and all that. I mean, they actually ruled and fought. And these were Black queens, and I don't understand why we don't take as much pleasure in talking about them or crowing about them. They achieved a whole lot more than some of the people, the queens that we are trying to appropriate and hanging on to. These achieved more, and better still, you can actually see their legacies to this day. And these were people who were there, when Cleopatra and Cleopatra was there. But there's nothing, as far as I can research, that still shows anything that Cleopatra really did. If anybody did, please let me know, because I haven't read it. I know that she did leave some things, but they were sort of destroyed, non-standing. But these women were so great because of who they were and how their societies appreciated them. The things that they built still stood solid to this day, And then you're coming lower down, then you see the queen of Queen Amina, the house of the queen of Zazo, a province in Nigeria now known as Zaria. She was born around 1533, and she after 3 months of coming to power, she set off on an expedition, trying to increase the size of the domain of Zazo, and it was under her that the Zazo, had the largest size ever, was expanded, and had the largest size ever. And she was a military commander. She fought all her neighbors, all the people around her, to incorporate them into this beautiful kingdom she was building, and and force them to accept to become vassals, to accept vassal status, and permit Hausa traders safe passage. You know, she was credited with popularizing the ethnicity war we see in Nigeria now. I don't know. We see it in Nigeria now. I don't have a picture of it, but we if you've ever gone to Nigeria, you see those, you know, walls, those beautiful walls decorated in all kinds of colors, you know, that she had as a city fortification against enemies, you know. And in fact, the walls is still known today as Amina's walls, you know. It's called in Hausa Ganuwar Amina, you know. And to this day, she's still remembered as Amina Yarubakwa Tasanrana. You know, I'm not saying that with the right accent, but that's Hausa for Amina, daughter of Nikatu, a woman as capable as a man. And that was high praise indeed, you know. And then, of course, we go here, Queen Nandi. She may not have been a queen, that's the mother of Shaka, you know, King Shaka. She may not have been reigned independently, but she was his advisor, his mentor and mother. Perhaps he may not have achieved greatness without her input, you know, her input in shaping him into the man that he became, you know. And then another great queen was Moremi of the Yorubas, you know, and Queen Moremi, you know, who saved her people from the what was called the Igbos then, but historians say has nothing to do with the Igbos of today, you know. But I sort of disagree with that, because if you look at some of the words, Yoruba words that sound Igbo, you know, like Abiokuta, Okute for Okuta, and so forth. You know, I forget some of the words now, Imi and Emi and things like that. They're all Igbo words, you know, but some historians trying to say that it's not that those Igbos. But then that's still, I disagree in that. You know, and she assisted in the liberation of the Yoruba kingdom of Ife from the Igbo people, you know, and she lived in the 12th century. And what was happening was that the Igbos will come to raid her people and take them, you know, as prisoners of war. And they did not like that, and they became the laughingstock of the other Yoruba city-states. You know, so even though they didn't like it, they didn't know what to do about it. You know, so Moremi, then courageous and beautiful, you know, made a deal with the spirit of a river, Ishimiri. Now, this is again when they're saying that it's not Igbo. You know, their river is Oshimiri. Now, Igbo word for river is Oshimiri. You know, so I don't know why they say it's not the same Igbos, but I beg to differ. You know, so she went to the spirit of this river and said that if she could discover the strength and she could discover if the spirit would give her the strength, that she would discover what the enemies, the weaknesses of the enemies, so she can then tell her people so they can defeat the Igbos, you know. And so she, when there was another raid, she allowed herself to be captured. And when she got there to the Igbo land, you know, she so enamored the king of the Igbo people that he married her. And when he married her, she learned all the secrets of their warfare and all that. And then she escaped to her people. And then she told them how to, from what she learned, how to conquer the Igbos, you know. And so with that knowledge, then they came and conquered and were able to fight back when the Igbos came to fight them, so, and she was revered for that, so she kept her promise and went back to the river, and said she's now ready to make the sacrifice herself. But the river said no, the river spirit said no, she wanted her son, so after this was a really price too high for her to pay, but because she had made that pledge, so she was inconsolable, but she made the sacrifice and offered her son, her only son, and the whole other people grieved with her, and the whole kingdom consoled her by offering her eternal children, that they will be her eternal children, a promise they kept to this day. Then we have obviously everybody's heard about the Dahomey Amazons. I hope you're all following all this. The reason I'm saying all this, pointing out all these, is that this is just a tip of the iceberg, because we have a lot to be proud of. We have so much to be proud of. We don't need to go somewhere else and go, is she white? Is she black? Is she has a drop? And we don't need all that. We have enough of our own that we need to sit there and crow about and shout about, and teach our children about, teach them in schools and all that. We don't in fact, some of these things, some of these queens, I never even heard of in my own schooling. I never even knew they existed. I had to find these out from my own research. So most of our children don't even know about these things. They don't know all the things that they should be proud and crowing about. And of course, about the Dahomey Amazons. They were an all-female military regiment in the kingdom of Dahomey, now present day Benin. They were reportedly assembled in the mid to late 1600s, they were known for their indifference to pain and fierceness in battle, as well as having great socio-political influence over their kingdom, sometimes they cooperated, with the European colonialists, selling captured enemies and regional scuffles in exchange for weaponry and goods. By the mid 1800s, they had numbered between 1,000 to 6,000 women, and when the French invaded what was then Dahomey in 1892, the Amazons put up such an aggressive resistance, that the French soldiers noted, quote unquote, their incredible courage and audacity in combat, and it wasn't just the fact. What made them so special wasn't just the fact that they were strong and warriors and all that, but it's that, and not just the fact that they could kill like men, but it's the fact that they were just regular people who led regular lives. But when it came to, defending their kingdom, they became warriors, and actually, they were just as equal to the men folk, and they were not treated as a weak gender, as a weaker sex and all that sort of thing. They were very much respected, very much had parity with the males in the society, And in fact, it was the European colonization, that was the detriment to the women's rights in Benin. When the French, disassembled the Amazons and banned female education and political leadership, you know. So, in fact, one of the writers said that when we push back against this misconception and embrace the culture of gender equality that was thriving in Benin and places like it before colonization, it is a way to embrace the legacy of this exceptional group of African female leaders that European history tried so hard to erase, you know. And then on the right here, this is the Ya Asante Wa of Ghana, you know, in the Ashanti Empire, you know. She was the official protector of the empire's most sacred object, the golden stool, made of solid gold and believed to house the soul of the Ashanti nation. You know, when the British troops invaded in 1886 and demanded possession of the sacred object, she refused. Instead, she led an army against them, you know. And she said, you know, she said to the women, you know, I shall call upon my fellow women. We will fight the white men. We will fight until the last of us falls in the battlefields. You know, she famously said that, you know. And for months, that in 1900, her troops laid siege to the British occupation, you know, of her people, you know. And then last but not least is the Princess 𝓚𝓵𝓪𝓂, who then who renamed herself, took the name Rana Valona, you know, of Madagascar. She succeeded her husband, you know, and then changed her name to Rana Valona, you know, and she became the first female sovereign of that kingdom since its foundation in 1540. You know, she reigned for 33 years, and it was characterized by her effort to strengthen the authority of the kingdom of Imerina, that was what it was called then, over subjugated provinces, and preserve the political and cultural sovereignty of Madagascar. These policies were enacted in a context of increasing, it was enacted within the context of increasing European influence within her kingdom, because at this time there was a lot of European incursion into her kingdom, and she was trying hard, you know, to keep their political and cultural sovereignty, you know. And they came within her kingdom. There were competing bees from Portugal and Spain and whatnot, you know, to dominate her island, you know. But she refused, you know. She refused to give in to them. She fought them. She put an end to friendship treaty that her predecessors had put with Britain. You know, she restricted activities with the missionaries, which her brother had allowed into her place. You know, so she restricted the missionaries of the London Missionary Society, who operated schools and basic education and trade skills, you know, in addition to Christian religion. She cut off all that. She forbade the practice of Christianity among her people. And within a year, all the foreigners had left, you know, place. She forbade the practice of Christianity among the Malagasy population, and within a year, nearly all foreigners had left her territory, putting an end to most foreign trade relationships, you know. And she pursued a policy of self-reliance, made possible through frequent use of long-standing tradition of whānau mopoana, that's forced labor in lieu of tax payments, you know. And her punishment was so severe sometimes to her people that it was stated, it was recorded that the population declined from 5 million to 2.5 million, but then these statistics, you don't know whether they were said because, it was because she had chased everybody away from her people and it was sour graping. Oh, she's wicked. Oh, look at what she's doing to her own people anyway, all that, but the people's history does not tell that. But the way the foreign historians say that, they're saying, oh, she did all these things, and all that. But then she was a great lady. She was a great queen, So all the statistics have contributed to a strongly unfavorable view of Rana Valona's rule in historical accounts. But don't believe it. If I were you, I wouldn't believe it, because wherever they go, people go, colonialists go, and they are fought back. It's sour grip. Oh, we don't want it anyway. Like the fox. Was it the fox? They say, oh, I don't want it anyway. The grapes are sour, So, and then of course there's the Queen Nzenga, and I found this woman very fascinating. She was an adept politician and skilled military strategist. This lady, this queen, she was a ruler of the Mbundu people in where it's now known as Angola. So with a growing demand for slave labor, Portugal had established a colony near Mbundu land to expand its slave trade. So after she became queen, queen, when her brother committed suicide, she made a deal with the ambassador. When she was an ambassador for her brother, rather, when she was an ambassador for her brother, she made a deal. She made an alliance with the Portuguese, so that they don't they don't take her people as slaves, but rather she could fight their neighboring places, and she could get people for them. Don't forget now, the other thing too, when we talk about slaves, don't forget now, these people did not know about the sort of slave trade that was in the West. Their idea of slavery was what we knew in Africa, where a slave could actually become a king, like King Jaja of Opobo, for instance, So when she became queen, they reneged on the alliance. The Portuguese reneged on the alliance she made with them not to take her people into slavery. So she then attacked them. She then attacked them. She refused. They wanted her to come and allow them to be a province. They wanted her people, the Buddha people, to be a province of Portugal, and she refused. She refused to give in to her. She formed a temporary alliance with the Dutch, and with the Dutch, she fought them, and she led her army. These were women who fought and led an army, black, like you and me. You understand? There was none of this. Did they have Greek blood, or did they have Arabic blood? No, they were me and you. And she held up the Portuguese forces for decades. Personally leading her troops into battle. Even while, get this, in her 60s, right into her 60s, she was leading an army fighting the Portuguese. They tried to capture her. They never did. They never captured her. And she died peacefully in her 80s after a long life of defending her people from colonial rule. I stand up for that woman. She is something else. So this is, and then this is where then we move to the appropriation. I'd like to mention this for a minute. the appropriation. So now we have all these, the queens, we've seen the queens. Then we go into the appropriation of there's a new thing that's been going. I'm sure you people have seen it. We know the original images of Jesus Christ is what you see there, the blonde hair, blue eye, and all that. And then the ones on the Ethiopians and on the right. And then you have this, the latest one, you know, and this was, and the thing is, nobody actually knew what Jesus looked like. The earliest image of Jesus was about 200 years after his death, you know, so nobody actually knew what he looked like. But this a physical anthropologist called 𝓟𝓵𝓪𝓲𝓽 created a mock-up of what Jesus may look like. You know, he did this by compiling 3 different skulls found in Jerusalem around the time of Jesus. And using 3D technology, he came up with this picture in the middle here about what Jesus looked like, you know. And for me, personally, and then a lot of Afrocentrics, you know, just jumped on the bandwagon and yeah, that's what he looked like and all that sort of thing. That's what Jesus looked like. One thing we must admit is that around that time, there were a lot of ethnic groups. There were a lot of races intermingling. Don't forget, this was a time when there was a lot of expansion. People were fighting, the Hittites, the Assyrians, the Palestinians. Everybody was fighting each other, settling here one day, moving again to settle somewhere else the next day. So there were a lot of mixtures of races. This happens, you know, so there's no particular race, you know, especially around that time, because around that time was a melting pot of different races, you know. But one thing for sure, you know, I'm convinced, anyway, like I say, all these things, I'm convinced, my own convictions. I'm convinced that Jesus was a Jew. He looked like the Jews. In fact, I may even go so far as to say people all around there, you know, all had, if you see ancient pictures of people like from Assyrians, Hittites, Greeks even, you know, they all had sort of curly, loose afros. You know, there were pictures of them. If you go and look, they all had sort of curly, loose afros, you know. So whether that afro-like genetically is a black indication or not, I can't say for sure, you know, because I'm not into that part of science, you know. But Jesus looked like a Jew. So if you see a Jew today, that's what he looked like, or maybe something close to that, you know. So that's another appropriation. People have been in the Afrocentric society, community, people been going crazy about it. People been go, oh well, Jesus was a black man. Jesus was a black man. I don't think he was. Jesus is, if you want to look at him that way, let it be a concept. Let Jesus be what you think he is to you. You understand? Let him be what he thinks to you. He could be black, he could be red, he could be white, but let us stop all this trying to appropriate things that really don't. We have no reason to. We have no reason to, or there's no pride we're going to get from attaching ourselves to people, figures, when we have people who are just as good or greater. I mean, for me, there's nobody greater than my God in the image of my people. You understand? You know, so my Chineke, he's in my image. He's in the image of whoever that worships him. You know, so the idea of the Afrocentrics jumping on this wagon and going, this is Jesus is now black, you know, so everybody is going crazy about it. You know, for me, I think it's a bit silly, dare I say, you know. And then, of course, it's because of this, you have some Igbos now who claiming that they are Jews, you know. And that to me, if that makes me laugh, I can't really take that seriously, because number one, there are really no parallels. And as a matter of fact, they've actually done some genetic investigation and found there's not one genetic link between the Igbos and the Jews. No genetic thread whatsoever. Nothing, rien, nada, zilch, nothing. So where they get this about Igbo or them being related to Jews, I just don't get. The only thing I can say about it, the only thing I can connect it to is maybe this feeling of complex, dare I say inferiority complex, where they're thinking they're not good enough. So the people that everybody thinks, oh, they're go-getters, they're industrious and all that. So we attach ourselves to them because Igbos are supposed to be industrious and all that. But the Igbos are not the only industrious people in Africa. You have the Kikuyu of Ghana, of Kenya, having the same reputation. You don't see them running to Jerusalem. The other people from Africa, in the Central Africa, who are industrious people, you don't see them running. Why are these Igbo people running to these people, trying to insert themselves in something that with people who really, to be frank, who really don't care about them? Because there was a documentary I watched some time ago about people who were the way they were treating them. They were complaining about how they were treating the so-called Black Jews in Israel, and they didn't like it. They didn't like it, and they were wishing they hadn't come. So there are really no parallels between the Igbos and the Jews. The Igbos have always had a homeland, for instance. They've always had the Igbo land right from time immemorial. They had a home. The Jews only had their home from 1948. The Igbos have not been persecuted to the worldwide. Nobody's persecuted them anywhere, worldwide. Not even the worst scenario would you even say Igbos were persecuted the way the Jews were. So I don't see the parallel there. There's no link in DNA. So the only thing I'm thinking about is these people, their satisfaction with their own society. The Igbos, they're satisfied with their own society. So instead of sitting there fighting about it and making sure they have a just society there and prosperous society, that's seeking another environment. In ancient times, it would be equivalent to people fighting a war, going to new territories, accumulating new territories, for another abode that is more bountiful than what they have, So if I could go to the last page, please, of this things. So I come to the end. I hope I've taken you through this discussion insofar as appreciating and accepting what we have. Again, like I said, my discourse is just a very narrow discourse here. I'm not talking about, it's not a full lecture, because if it was, I'll obviously say more than I'm saying now, so and so because of all these, it's imperative, it's important, that we Africans, if I may read this last bit here, that we Africans and people of African descent must assume the primary responsibility and leadership in historical research. Historical research, I'll just go off a bit on that. Historical research, because our government is not, I'm not quite sure what the problem is. I'm not quite sure whether it's us, the historians, who are too lazy to go and excavate, do archaeological studies, or is it because the kind of government we have is not supportive of it? I do know a few archaeologists who had wanted to go and do some excavations in Ibuku and all that, and nobody, the government would rather, a government minister or the cultural minister would rather buy a flat for his girlfriend in Mayfair than bring out that money to go and excavate something that will bring glory to his people. You know, and Africans would know what I'm talking about. You know, so if we're to continue to leave practically all important historical research and writing concerning our race to the white man, then we must be prepared to accept uncomplainingly the white man's point of view and his interpretation of the world order. So if we are to really know what our true story is, we got to start doing it ourselves. We got to be more proud of who we are and what we are, what we've achieved, and sing it from the rooftops, crow about it. That's who we are. And this is just a little bit. I haven't even gone on the achievement of our leaders, of ancient African leaders and all that. So this is because of time restriction. I'll just stop here. Thank you.
Oh my goodness, my goodness. Let me add everybody. Whoa.
I
was so glued. I was so glued.
As a matter of fact, we're supposed to talk about a variety of things, discuss the king and all that stuff. I'm just at the point where I just feel like discussing what you talked about. He was so enriched and informative. Lord have mercy. One thing I want to say, hold on just a second, please. I just got to say this. One thing I want to say about the Igbos and the Jews thing. I surmise that one of the reasons why we have this issue with the Igbo people associating themselves with Jews is the idea that Jews or Israelites were interned in Egypt. And they look at the Igbo person's condition in Nigeria, the marginalization of the Igbos in Nigeria, and the quickest association they have is to align themselves with the suffering of the Jews supposedly in Egypt, because that's how they see themselves in Nigeria. That's what I was thinking.
That's right.
Well, is it like they feel they're marginalized?
Yeah, they're marginalized. Because I've had a conversation with a few people. They're marginalized, so they see the suffering of Igbo people in Nigeria, like the suffering of the Jews that were marginalized in Egypt and interned over there. And so they look at themselves as this.
That's silly of them, because if that came to that, why weren't South Africans moving to Egypt? After all, they too were marginalized and beaten up.
That's what I'm saying. But that's how they're looking at it. So who knows?
Yeah.
You know, they look at it that way. That coupled with the fact that politically in Nigeria, you understand, right?
I get it.
The Igbos, a lot of them, it's like going from frying pan to fire. You leave Christianity, you go into Islam. You leave Christianity, you go into Judaism. It's one and the same. You're still justifying your worth by standards that don't belong to you. So the hatred for the corruption of Christianism in Nigeria, particularly to the Igbo people, they decided to leave Christianity and just go another route, and the only route they can go to that will keep them relevant in the eyes of the international community is Judaism.
Okay, wonderful. Listen, this is just absolutely awesome. I want to give everybody an opportunity to say just a few little seconds to adore her for her presentation. For my part, thank you, Imela. Awesome. I mean, you laid it out there, and we're so proud of you. We're thankful, and it's obvious that our viewers were enjoying your presentation. So I want to ask each one of you to make a comment. Thank you, Judy, for your comments. I'll go to Dibia Cheodozie. Before I take a station break, I'm going to go ahead.
I just want to say one thing. I just want to say just one little thing. Pardon the beginning, because I had things arranged in a certain way, and then they were all jumbled up. So
okay, you did just fine. You don't have to apologize for anything. You did great.
Get information.
Very good.
Dibia Chiedozie, go ahead.
Yeah, thumbs up to you. That was a great
Oh,
one. That was a
thank
great
you.
one. And I
Thank
think
you.
the real message I got from this lecture, it's all about the talk about identity.
Yes.
We have to be who we are. We don't have to claim to be someone else.
Yes.
Right.
I particularly, I laugh at this talk that we are Jews.
Mm.
The only reason I see those who claim that, it's one, some claiming from the point of ignorance.
Mm.
And I think that talk did not start from Igbos in Nigeria, from my own little knowledge. I think it started somewhere from Orlando Equino, who wrote did certain researches and began to look at certain parallels in Igbo culture and Jewish culture. And of course, these parallels led him to begin to equate the Igbos with the Jews. And I think during the Civil War, I don't know which of the American president, it was Harry Truman or don't know which one of them, to try as a guise of trying to preserve the Igbo race, try to use that to sell that to the American Senate so that they could look at the matter of Biafra. And I think from that too, and then there was these I'm not sure. These are things I read on just pages. I don't have the evidence, but these are just the things that I read. While and then I think there's these something that they did in 100 years of a Harvard record. Those who have broken that record, who have gone through Harvard, most of them have Igbo background, and so they try to each time they want to make us feel good. They try to place us on the platform that we are not blacks. We might have been white people that found ourselves in Africa, or we are Jews that we are fortunate to be in Africa. So they try to give us this kind of specialty that we are special black people. And so it's a way of also alienation. It's a problem of alienation, siphoning our minds and spirit outside our land. Uh, and then there becomes a problem of trying to reclaim who we are. Now, the only thing, when I looked into all these, the only thing I can say that that I can pick in it is that when you go into Kabla and see the things they do the things we do like the way we do it in our tradition. So those that have, those who are my friends who claim that they are Jews and they are either 7-day Sabbath, they attend Sabbath church, or they are doing something Jewish. When you bring something concerning Dibia or for another, they easily accept it. But the problem I have is that they accept it and they want to make our tradition to begin to look Jewish towards Israel.
Yeah.
That is the problem.
Yeah.
For those who are totally Christians, they don't even want to look at that side. So whether it is the Jewish perspective or the Christian perspective, we are losing.
Yes.
So thank you for that, the conclusion of that lecture. We have to be who we are. We don't have to hop on another person's identity to get where we are going. We should be who we are. Thank you, and thumbs up to you.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Well, we'll give Dr. Simone, because I have to go on a quick break. Dr. Simone, please.
Yes, thank you so much for that lecture. It was excellent. I think that we need more information out there, especially with being for Black women. I love the fact that you focused on the queens, the true Black queens, because many of us do not know that history. I know, coming from African American heritage, I know growing up, the only thing I knew was Christianity. And what I learned is that the Jews were the chosen people. So I think desperately we are trying to, a lot of Africans and those of the diaspora is trying to fit into the religion of our oppressor. And so we're trying to see, how do we fit in? Are we Jews? If we say that we're Jews, even though that is far from the truth, that is so far from the truth, maybe we can be favored by God. Not realizing, let's just pray to the God of our ancestors. What is the God of our ancestors? What does the God of our ancestors look like? The worst thing that happened to us is that our identity was taken. We no longer know or understand who we are. And so with that, we don't know the God of our ancestors. We don't know how our ancestors practiced. And to further that, we hated anything that has to do with African or Africa. We hate it. It's demonized. It's evil. Anything that is not Christianity is evil. And the crazy thing about this is, a lot of times in the Black church, it's even worse. I mean, it is self-hate. Our self-esteem is, for most of us, it's just we have totally low self-esteem, because we cannot look at our people and our traditions and say this and be proud of that. Because we bought into the narrative that who we are and where we are from is evil.
That's right.
And so we have to understand. We have to understand that we must look deeper into what we may understand what it is to be. Some people have only known Christianity. Some people have only known that. But look deeper. It's not just that. That's why this program, Chiism, is so important, because it's so many of us that are so disconnected from who we are. And that starts with our religion. That starts of identifying the God of our ancestors. And not only that, our ancestors.
You say? Yes.
So this is a wonderful, this was a wonderful lecture. And a lot of people, like you were saying, go towards that Egyptian. You know how far Egypt is from West Africa. Come on now.
I gotta take a quick break. Thank you for that thought. I'm going to take a quick break. I will be right back. We'll continue the conversation. Website.
Okay.
Hold on. Yeah, you. Yeah, you. Wait, has it occurred to me that you still haven't subscribed to this channel yet? You haven't subscribed, you haven't followed the Facebook, you haven't checked out the website, nothing? Hold on, you're missing out down here. You're gonna have some fun. But big shout out to everybody who has been watching us for a long time. We've been doing this for years. We've been doing this for a long time. This is the biggest we have ever reached out to people. And I do appreciate everyone who watched the video to the end. It really helps us. We try to give out wisdom every single day. Much love to everybody. Make sure to follow the Facebook. Make sure to check out the website. And the YouTube. We post 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can't miss that. Have a beautiful time. You have a blessed day. Wonderful day.
I think I got the double, but that's okay. We got a double time. That's wonderful. Hey, listen, this is, you know what? This has been exciting, but we have even something exciting to add to the excitement. I don't know if my heart can take all of this, but hey, I've been at Chiso, so I know I'll be okay. We have the next thing we're going to present right now is, there's
that lady.
Chineke, can you hear me? Chineke has a way of bringing people to us, and you don't ever know. All you have to do, you always say, build it and they shall come. All you have to do is present yourself, present your information, your message, put it out there. You never know who's listening, and then when they listen more than you anticipate. They listen more than you know. And Chineke brought this young woman to us, Akachi Azubike. And she wrote something so mesmerizing about what we're doing here that I thought she should read it to us. And so I am going to have her read this information for our total enjoyment. Akachi, take it away.
Thank you. First and foremost, thank you, Dr. Obie. That was powerful. I was glad you focused on women because we're often left out of the story of who we are. And I'll come back around to that, but just thank you. That was wonderful. I will go ahead and read what I wrote. So it's show them who you are. There's a scene in the movie Black Panther wherein T'Challa is challenged by M'Baku for the throne of Wakanda. They must fight either until someone submits or death. M'Baku's great might favors him, and he begins to gain ground, crushingly headbutting T'Challa, nearly unconscious. A voice trembles the foundation of T'Challa's being and calls, "Show him who you are!" It's his mother, Queen Ramonda of Wakanda. T'Challa awakens from the stupor and a fighting spirit animates his defenses, even after a spear is thrusted into his clavicle and excruciating pain is etched into T'Challa's face, and he responds, "I am Prince T'Challa, son of King T'Chaka." He rises with all strength and subdues M'Baku into submission, maintaining his family's throne. The key points from this story: know who you are. Obie Onyioha Pearce often reminds us life is a Serengeti, and as African people, we must know who we are. A lioness or a lion you may be. However, if you don't know who you are, you may succumb to defeat by a pack of lying hyenas who told you you are a mouse. Imagine that. Look closely at the state of our people, and in many cases, you will see such is reality. So, who are you? What if you don't know? What if your memory was disrupted from enslavement, colonization, adoption, or some other circumstance? What if you think you already know who you are, but you are in fact incorrect? Here are some hint questions to determine if you are on the right track. To what name do you respond? Before the foreigners arrived, what were the names of your many great foremothers and forefathers? Were they English? Names like James, Nancy, or Sunday? Possibly Arabic names like Fatima, Mahmoud, Ibrahim? Or maybe a Spanish name like Ana, Leticia, Felipe? It's unlikely. When your great foremothers and forefathers greeted one another, was it, "Hello, good morning, Assalamu alaikum, hola, ¿cómo está? Bonjour, ¿cómo vas-tu? Shalom"? What mother tongue language did they speak? When you think of your motherland, the pride land from which your bloodline hails from, is it the Kingdom of England or the Ottoman Empire, modern day Arabia? Are you a child of the Kingdom of the Franks, modern day France, or Imperio Español, the Spanish Empire? Or are you a child from Mesopotamia, a lost child of Israel? It's highly improbable. When your many great foremothers and forefathers called on the divine, Chineke, the supreme being, were their utterances the name God, Lord, Allah, Jesus, Yahweh, Elohim? Or was there another name primordial to African indigenous cosmogony prior to foreign invasion and occupation? Understandably, these may be difficult contemplations to confront within. But when you sit with the questions long enough and seek the truth, the truth will find you. Finding and living the truth is your next journey. Oh, and you will stand out amongst the herd, but as do lions. When you were created to be unique and to stand out. So, that shouldn't be a problem. May you have the courage and support, like our young lion, our brother who was on Chiism last weekend or the week before, Chika Cielu, whose parents are ensuring that he knows thyself, is direly important to know, because your roots keep you deeply rooted in a very shaky and volatile world. Like a tree, you are meant to grow to astonishing heights while being strong enough to withstand the storms of life and continue living for generations if you actualize your chi akarakar, your chi's akarakar. When you embrace your ndiche, your ancestors, your culture, which is your lineage, your bloodline, your birthright, and your great inheritance, no matter where you find yourself in the world, you will always show them who you are. Thank you.
Oh, nice.
Bravo, bravo, bravo. I loved it.
That is beautiful. That is
Yes.
That's going on our website.
He told the whole story.
And there it is right there.
As a matter of fact, I'm going to get that clip, and I'm just going to extract it from this program, and I'm going to post it.
That's right. It's going to be on our Facebook page. It's going to be on our website.
Yeah.
I just appreciate it because it tells me that these young people are paying attention and that what we're doing is going to the right ears, and those ears are listening to the point that they're enunciating it on paper. Bravo. Bravo. Imela.
Oh,
go ahead.
Go on. Oh, no, I said, can I just say?
Yes, please.
Oh, okay. So what I find that is important is so important for these young people to take our messages, you understand? Because, sometimes, we want immediate things to be immediate results. Sometimes it's not immediate. I mean, look at Jesus Christ. Christianity did not really take place till about the 4th century.
Yes.
AD. It didn't even start till about 300 and something years after the man's gone. You understand? But it was all these drip stories about him that then coalesced into this Christianity. So if we, with these kids, that we're dripping, she'll pass it on, dripping, you understand, to her children, grandchildren, and all that. To the point, maybe 300 years from now, that will be the major religion in the world.
That's right. That's right.
Yep. Absolutely.
And we come to, I tell you, I hope your heart is able to take all that we have to offer today. And I have, I want Dibia Yudi, I need you to make a presentation, just briefly talk about Ikenga, because that leads me to another activity we're going to do today. Please speak about Ikenga. And you as well, Dibia Chiadozie. But remember what time we have. We have just so much time.
I'm just going to spend a couple of minutes on it, and that's it. First of all, like Dr. Obie Onyioha Pearce mentioned, the future is bright with our young folks, and I'm just so proud of the young kids. Akachi, Ikuna, Chukwuemeka, Nnamdi Ojugo, Adora, Kelena, and all the young kids, the young folks, they're not kids, they're grown adults, but all the young people that are supporting this program, some are invisible, but we do know, we do hear them on Facebook, on the internet, so we know they talk about what's going on here, and they're seriously, moving along with this message. So kudos to everybody. Ikenga is a vital part of Igbo metaphysics. Very, very important part of Igbo metaphysics. Now, you may ask, what do I mean by metaphysics? What is it, right? Metaphysics is a branch of philosophy that deals with the first principle of things, okay, existence, including abstract concepts of being, knowing, substance, cause, identity, cause and effect, time and space. That's what metaphysics deals with, and it uses logic based on the meaning of human terms rather than logic tied to sense of perception or objectivity, right? That's why it's called metaphysics. And 𝓛𝓮𝓮 is part of our metaphysics. 𝓛𝓮𝓮 is a vital Igbo metaphysics which relates to a person's right or left arm, depending on which of them you use, or which one of them is better for you. In essence, it symbolizes a person's talent, their strength, enterprise, and achievement. Now, generally speaking, the concept is that a person's chi bestows on them peculiar talents and skill. Now, remember, it said that people that make a living using their talent never work a day in their lives, and they're the happiest and usually the most successful people. So when you talk about 𝓛𝓮𝓮, you talk about the human talent, you talk about the metaphysical part of it, you talk about it is something that is bestowed upon you by Chineke, right? Your 𝓛𝓮𝓮 defines your exploits in life. It really does. It is expected that a person, for continued success in life, that person maintains a good relationship with both their chi and their 𝓛𝓮𝓮, which is their talent. I mean, if you have talent as a sculptor, somebody who could sculpt things, or let's say you have a talent as an artist, why would you want to become a medical doctor? It's a waste. You will struggle more to become a doctor than being an artist, since you naturally have the good gift of art, whether you're a poet, whether you know how to draw or know how to carve, whatever it is that you're doing, if it flows naturally and you are great at it, you could make a living without ever having to work a day in your life. Because when you're doing something you love and you're successful in it, you're always the happiest. Now, since 𝓛𝓮𝓮 represents a person's ancestors are custodians of the moral and social order that a person must constantly offer sacrifices to the ancestor and show readiness and interest in keeping the laws and customs of the land, without which neither your life or your well-being will be assured. Now, let me just say something about the word sacrifice. It's the same thing as offering. There's no religion in the world that doesn't offer something to a higher being, to your ancestors, to their chi, to the creator. Even in Christianity, God himself, because in Christianity, God is a he, sacrificed his only son. So even God was involved in sacrifices and sacrificed his own child. You can imagine if I was to sacrifice my son, or you sacrifice your own child, it would be blasphemy. But yet, in religious parlance, you welcome the idea of human sacrifice. And then today you act as if sacrifice is something that is blasphemous. We are not engaged in human sacrifices or sacrificing our lineage to any higher being. But when you say sacrifice, and you sacrifice things like a cock, chicken, a rooster, a goat, or you make offerings like yams, kola nut, and what have you, it's very important. When Chineke created Ifenta and Ada, Chineke says, everything that I've created around you is for your good. From trial and error, you'll be able to determine those things that are good for you to help perpetuate your existence on earth. No one is created by me to be destitute. Listen inwardly to yourself, identify who you are in terms of your 𝓛𝓮𝓮 talent. Then properly interpret my voice in you, and you will be led to your chi, by your chi, to the hallmark of your character, which is your destiny, which is ultimate happiness in life, which you can now sustain yourself. So 𝓛𝓮𝓮 is very important. It's part of our metaphysics. It's part of our spiritual DNA, and something that we should pay the utmost respect to in our daily lives. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Yudi. Dozie, if you can just make a brief comment about it because of time constraints, we have some.
Yeah, thumbs up to you, Dibia Ochoaja. See, I will start from the point of metaphysics. And metaphysics itself houses three departments: cosmogony, cosmology, ontology. And so Ikenga is part of the what we call, under ontology, you have what we refer to as human ontology. That is study of the human nature. So Ikenga, the way I understand it, within the Igbo metaphysics, is part of the study of the metaphysics of man, which we call the human ontology, the constitution of who we are. And my research, though I'm reading, I'm not started writing, but my research into the human personality from the Igbo perspective, if we have Eke, Chi, then we have Agu, then Eke attracts Chi, and that Chi that Eke attracts, its manifestation in terms of prosperity, turning your talent into prosperity, is what Ikenga represents. That's my understanding. And this has to go with understanding our talents. And that's why our ancestors founded the institution of Afa, Agu, because each one of us have our limitations. And Agu is meant to deal with that part of our limitation, path of confusion, crossroad, whereby we have to find our Eke, understand it, so that our right Chi will find it. It enhances our Ikenga. Once that happens, the inspiration, the inflow from the Almighty, Chineke, comes in, which you call Abia. That Abia, it's the enhance of all of that with Abia, which is, you can compare it in English with inspiration. You begin to do things that normally it's above the ordinary, the extraordinary. When you master that, your Ikenga prosper. It just flows. You find prosperity, and then that goes with Nka and Usoro. You on your own, you discover the logic. On your own, you just begin to invent things. And so that's my own little understanding. Though I'm still doing researches on this, and I think maybe with time I will have to speak more with Dibia Ochoaja, because you seem to have a more unwritten, when I say unwritten, what is not in the textbook, you have a direct understanding of it. I am reading more of what is in the textbook, and then I'm doing researches with the DBS that are around. Most of them don't even understand these things as concepts. They just understand it as the practice. And so I'll do more talking with you. If there's a need, I go into research with you so that we'll come out with something genuine about that. Then you take your perspective, I take my perspective. So I would love that. Thank you.
Thank you so very much. Thank you, guys. Good job. Good job. I wanted you to explain what Ikenga is, because for me personally, the aspect of it that means a lot to me is commitment and devotion and dedication. All right. The willingness to go beyond what expectations there are because of your conviction that what you're doing is the right thing. You believe in something, you have faith in something, and based on your faith, based on your understanding, you do all that you have to do to not only build yourself up, but build up whatever organization that you're a part of it. So today we are giving the Ikenga Award to this gentleman that has been with us since the inception of the Global Faith Ministries of Chiism on Facebook. He has never wavered. His name is Charles Ukunna Charles. He's always there. He's desperately trying to get in. I wanted him to get in here so you can all see him, but he's just battling his device and he's not able to be seen. So what I told him is, don't worry about it. Just watch, and we are going to talk about you. He has, not only does Charles engage in conversations, even if we're not saying anything in the Chism group, he's always posting, always conversing, always reaching out. There's nothing we're doing that you don't hear him. There's nothing that we're doing you don't see him. He is what, to me, a representation of Ikenga in action. So we just wanted to offer him this award today. And I am just so sorry. He's still trying so desperately to get in. But I want us to offer him, and I want to share the award that we're giving him. And I've told him, don't worry about it. If you can't come in, it's okay. It's okay if you can't come in. But this is what we're giving him. Okay,
he's on the program today.
He's on the program right now. He's actually on the program. He's posting. He never fails. He never misses any.
Beautiful.
Yes.
He never misses anything. Commentary, you name it. So we just applaud him for getting the Ikenga Award. Presented to Nkporo Charles for demonstrating commitment, hard work, and faith in Chiism Godianism.
Yeah, he just replied.
For your service to us. Thank you for all that you do for us. We appreciate you so much. I know you can't come in here and get it, but I'm going to send you this award via mail. I'm going to contact you to get your address so that we can send this to you. You more than, and believe it or not, Charles Ukuna, this is the first Ikenga Award offered by Chism. And so historically, you have the first award. There are so many people now in our organization that are going to get the award because they are just working with us and doing exceptional things. So we are going to appreciate them in the very near future. But you, because of your hard work, because of your continuous support of our program, of our organization, even to the extent that his avatar is a 𝓛𝓮𝓻𝓲𝓮. His avatar is a 𝓛𝓮𝓻𝓲. That's how much pride he has for what we're trying to do here, that he feels that he must acknowledge the mother of the organization, which is Obie Onyioha. So congratulations for the first Ikenga Award that we are so proud to present to you. Yagazie.
Yagazie, Charles.
Congratulations, Charles.
Congratulations.
Let me see. Yes, there's look, I in the beginning I said, I just need to say something beyond everybody else that has been part of this journey with us. I need to say something about Dibia, Dr. Onyioha Pearce. For me, without her, my life doesn't exist. I'm very emotional about what I'm saying. And if I start crying when I'm saying it, please forgive me. Without her, it will be difficult for me to see any direction in my life. I know I owe a lot to my family, to my wife, my children, and all that. But in the end, I'm an Onyioha. And what we're known for is fighting for the spiritual emancipation of the Black African.
Yes.
My family has been in this fight since my dad was 17 years old and fought in the Kassassin Desert in World War II against Nazi Germany, where he was court-martialed by the British government because he was accused of the death of a soldier due to some medical emergency on the battlefield. And Onyioha Pearce, with his own mouth, got himself uncourt-martialed, formed the Nigerian Legion. Most people don't know that. Formed the Nigerian Legion. Zik, Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe, took him in and made him an editor in the West African Pilot, gave him a column to vet his anger against British rule. They formed the National Church of Nigeria. Zik was canonized Zik of Africa in 1950 in Lagos, Nigeria, at the in Ebutemeta at Lesabe Hall. The title of Zik of Africa was given to Zik by Onyioha Onyioha. In 1963, the National Church of Nigeria and the Cameroons and the Edo National Church of the Benin people, headed by Obie Onyioha II, joined together to form Godianism. In 1974, 𝓛𝓮𝓻𝓮 Onyioha represented the only religion from Africa at the World Conference of Religion and Peace at the Catholic University of Louvain in Belgium. Represented Godianism. In 1978, delivered a lecture at the United Nations as the only man from Africa that was made a permanent member of the UN, and he didn't represent any government.
Yes, say it again.
In the early 2000s, Ogele, Dr. Onyioha Osimiri, represented the only African religion at the United Nations in Kenya. Dr. Obie Onyioha Pearce, that you see on the screen, was Miss Nigeria in 1972. Ended up becoming the most popular female artist in Nigeria. Go and Google her, Obie Onyioha, on the internet. You will see it. There has never been a legendary female musician from Africa that matched her. The only person that ever matched her was Miriam Makeba of South Africa.
That's right. Say it again.
And that's the truth. And I'm so happy that she came on the program and joined us to make this presentation. I am so happy about Dr. Onyioha Osimiri for joining this fight, for representing Africa, for representing Black folks, African, to show that we've always been capable of original thoughts. That we could stand on our own and say, I am what I am by the grace of the Almighty God, and if you don't like it, let the door hit you where you are.
Thank you.
This fight and journey continues. I have no doubt in my mind that we will finally overcome when the mind of the African is emancipated, when we get to look at our heroes, like Dr. Obie Onyioha Pearce explained to us today, where we don't have to look at colonized history and have to recolonize it when we have a history that we can be proud of in all of Africa. One day, our educational system will be able to teach African history, real African history, so that the upcoming generations can immerse themselves in the greatness of Africa. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you so much. On that note, I really want to, at this moment, thank you, Dibia Yudi. And we've been in this fight together. And I've supported you, you've supported me, and there's just no other way. There's no other way. For me, it was such an honor to bring Adonha Pearce here, because, you know, she's an anthropologist. She has the history. She's not telling you something she thinks. She researched. She's a researcher. So what she's telling you is facts. It's facts. You know, for interpretation of research. You know, you always have to, when you do research, you have to interpret it too. You know, because it's somebody wrote something, and you have a peer approval, but at the same time, it's still who approved it. You still have to have input. And so what she shared with us today, if you're paying attention, you don't listen, and it's presented to you, you end up in trouble. So pay attention. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Pearce. What can I say? Everybody has said it. Thank you so much. Thank you, Dr. Of course, thank you, Dr. Monet Akachi. Bless you for that wonderful report. And also, certainly, we want to thank Ipuna Charles, and congratulations to him for winning the first Gate award. And there are so many powerful people here that are going to be winning it. And we're going to keep giving it to remind you that we are appreciative of your hard work, and we can't do it without you. We can't do it without you. So continue to be in our corner. Ladies and gentlemen, all of you who joined us today, please be sure to join us next Sunday. We have another powerful presentation for you. And you're going to enjoy the next lecture that's coming up next week. And I know that you enjoyed the one that we had today. So, whatever you touch today may turn into gold for you. Nothing but gold shall follow you. Today, tomorrow, before you, behind you, above you, Uno na Chineke so, mo na Chiso, and that's the same thing for you. Have a wonderful, wonderful, and blessed Sunday. Until we see you next week. Yagazie.
Yep.
Bye.